Hello, and welcome to the 1977 Top Star Wars podcast. No affiliation. And no, you are not seeing double. Today, we are talking about card number 33 from the set and card number 73 from the Top Star Wars set, because Topps, unbeknownst to themselves, used the exact same photo for both of these cards. Now, if you are watching the video, then you might be able to notice there are some slight differences in the two cards. So in these cards, we have C-3PO and R2-D2 together. And throughout the 1977 Top Star Wars set, we have quite a few cards of them together. And to be honest, this card is nowhere near as good as some of the other cards we see in this set. But because of this fact that Topps used the same photo without really knowing, just makes this a really interesting card. Both these cards really interesting to me. Now, if you look at this card, we'll look at card number 33 here first. You can see the title of the card says "The Droids in the Control Room." Now, obviously, when they were putting this set together, it was kind of in haste a little bit, right? Because the movie was out or coming out, and they're trying to get these cards together and putting out. So the background does kind of look like a control room. If you look at the red card from Series 2, card number 73, you can see that it says "The Droids Wait for Luke." Now that would be the correct title, kinda. We'll get to that here in a minute. For this card, because the droids C-3PO and R2-D2, they are not on the Death Star or in the Millennium Falcon or in any of those places. Even though I could maybe give Topps a pass because it slightly looks like the Millennium Falcon background a little bit. But in reality, they are back on the farm on Tatooine there. Now, I have mentioned this book before in the previous episodes of this podcast, but from the book Star Wars, the original Topps Trading Card Series, put together by Gary Girani, who is one of the people responsible for making the Topps set. So in this book, like he has the pictures of each of the cards, and he has little tidbits on each of the cards. So for card number 3 in the book, and I highly recommend, if you're listening to this podcast, obviously you like this set, to get this book. You will love it. He says in the book for card number 33, actually the droids are not in the Death Star's control room, which we just talked about, but back in Luke's humble dwelling on Tatooine. The mislabeled photo somehow escaped the notice of all of us copy checkers in New York and California. It won't be the first time an error like this occurred, nor the last. And so if you are collecting right now, then you probably know that like Panini and Topps recently have used the same photos throughout different sets. That is not an uncommon thing that has happened in the hobby in recent years. But for this to happen back in 1977, I don't blame them at all. Because in my job is I'm a middle school teacher. So as a teacher, you're checking lists all the time or making sure names aren't misspelled, and you're going over the list over and over and over again. And I've done this a few times. You check the list to make sure everything is correct, and still errors get through, right? And so obviously I can't imagine they had a huge staff for putting this set together. Some people were in New York City and Brooklyn, where Topps was headquarters, and then they probably had, I guess, some people out in California too. This wasn't the computer internet error by any means either, so I can see how a mistake like this got through. And then for card number 73, it says in the book, a photo from Series 1 makes a return appearance. Nothing clever up our sleeves, just an error that escaped our notice. And also from the book, which I thought was interesting too, while just talking about where these photos come from, the pictures come from. It says, for the first series of Star Wars cards, images were mostly printed from standard 35 millimeter slides. They were forwarded to the Topps headquarters in Brooklyn, and there was nothing especially exotic about the content. So just some interesting little facts about this card, or cards here. Okay, let's take a closer look at card number 33. It's the blue bordered card. There are 66 total cards in that first series of cards. For this particular card, card number 33, the droids in the control room, there are 487 total graded cards, so not an incredibly high number. There are 23 PSA 10s out there, 106 PSA 9s, which I thought seemed a bit high. I was a little surprised by that. 162 PSA 8s, which is the highest total of graded cards. And then we have 87 PSA 7s. And just, I thought this was very interesting. There's only one PSA 2. There are a few people out there that like to have a grade of each card. I'm not sure if anyone would do that for this particular card. Maybe after this podcast, who knows? Some recent prices for these grades. Yeah, so PSA 8. A PSA 8 sold on July 15th. I'm recording this podcast on July 19th on eBay for $74. Another PSA 8 sold on July 2nd, beginning of the month, for $60. And a PSA 8, once again, sold on June 26th for $85. So you can see there it's in kind of between a $60 and $80 range for the most part. A PSA 6, this seems like a great buy. Whoever got this got a PSA 6 for $16.50, and another one sold, another PSA 6 sold back in May for $15.84. So some good deals, I think, for a PSA 6. And if you're looking for buying the card raw, not graded, I was able to find one of these for like $1.50 on eBay. So not bad at all. All right, now let's take a look at card number 73. It's from Series 2. So that series runs from card number 67 to card number 132. It's the red bordered card. And so there is a total of only 227 total graded cards. So more than half, less than half the amount of the blue series card number 33, which I'm not surprised by at all. Obviously, the blue series cards are so much more popular and demand so much higher prices as well. So I'm not surprised this hasn't been as graded as much. There's only 8 PSA 10s out there, so super low. Only 44 PSA 9s, 6 PSA 8.5s, so you do get those half grades every once in a while. 99 PSA 8s, that's the highest amount for any grade of this card. 26 PSA 7s, and since I shared the PSA 2 count with the first card, there's only 2 PSA 2 grades of this card total. Now let's take a look at the back of this card and just see the little fact they have on the back of this one here. So this one says, producer Gary Kurtz describes the special effects used in Star Wars. When it comes to spaceships, we searched for all the old models we could find and cannibalized over 300 plastic model kits as we constructed ours. The Millennium Falcon in our lab was about 6 feet across. The fighters were 1 foot to 1.5 feet long. The satellite Death Star, interesting they call it a satellite. The satellite Death Star complete was about 4 feet in diameter. So what can you expect to pay for a graded card of card number 73? So a PSA 9 just sold on June 6 on eBay, and it sold for $63. And getting a PSA 9 in the 1977 Top Star Wars set for $63, good deal. PSA 7, this was a best offer, sold for $23.25. And once again, great price. PSA 8 sold for cheaper than that on May 13th for $22.50. PSA 9, the beginning of May 12th, sold for $82. And then a PSA 7 on eBay fixed price sold for $29.99. So where in the movie does our card come from? Well, I am at the 23-minute and 24-second mark in the movie. It is right when Luke has seen the video of Princess Leia. We have C-3PO talking to R2-D2. You can see the mannerism of C-3PO and R2-D2 are almost the exact same. You can see the background is a little bit different. You can see here where C-3PO's arm is kind of covering that spot right there. This scene, this still may have came a second or half second or two around this time here. But this kind of gives you a general idea of where the still from this card came from in the movie here. So before we wrap everything up here today, I do have an O-Pee-Chee card of card number 73. O-Pee-Chee was Topps Canadian brand, so the set also came out in Canada, and there are some slight differences between the United States version and the Canadian version of this card. So you can see here the title of the card, The Droids Wait for Luke, is a lot bolder and bigger than what you see on the O-Pee-Chee version, because below it you have the title, The Droids Wait for Luke, in French below the main title there. So the font is a little bit smaller. And then when we flip the card around, the movie fact that I read to you is also on the back of the O-Pee-Chee version, but there's also what was on the back is also in French on the back of the card as well. So I picked up this graded version of the card, is a PSA 7 a few years ago, and I got it. It wasn't very expensive at all. I'm glad I got it. And I just wanted a graded card from the set at that time. There's no really other particular reason for me picking up the card. But yeah, it was a PSA 7. I thought it was a fairly high grade for that card. And yeah, I think I got it from between 10 and $15. So and it just kind of happened to work out that I had it for this podcast. So yeah. So to wrap up episode 4 here, I've been ranking the top 10 cards in the 1977 Top Star Wars set. Number 1 on the list right now is card number 58, Harrison Ford as Han Solo. Just a great shot of him in his stance there. Card number 2, we have Vader just choking the ever-loving life out of a rebel soldier there, along with a stormtrooper. That's sitting at number 2. And then we have the Grand Moff Tarkin, card number 8 from the Blue Series, his rookie card, sitting at number 3. So where do these two cards, card number 33 and card number 73, sit in our ranking right now? Well, it is not better than the Han Solo card, and it is not better than Vader just doing his patented choking someone out. So is it better than Grand Moff Tarkin? Ooh, that's a tough one, because I really love the story behind Grand Moff Tarkin, but the fact that this is an heir that I don't think really anyone really knows about. I just learned about it very recently doing the research for this podcast. So I think I'm going to put cards 33 and 73 in the number 3 spot. Sorry, Grand Moff Tarkin, you're dropping to number 4. And he's kind of been dropping like a rock in these rankings, but hey, that's okay. So anyways, card number 3373, it is now sitting at spot number 33. It won't last for long. Anyways, that's it for episode 4 of the Top Star Wars podcast. For episode 5, I think it's time we break out a Luke Skywalker card. It is not going to be card number 1. We're going to save that one for a special episode. But it's time to break out one of the Luke Skywalker cards and see where it ranks among these cards here. If you have any suggestions for cards you want me to talk about, please leave them in the comments. If you've been listening all the way through, thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. If you could hit the likes and the subscribes and leave ratings and comments, all that stuff, it'll all help this podcast out to start getting people to start noticing that this podcast even exists. So thank you to everyone, and may the Force be with you.